Sunday rolls on, and as the sun is speaking out from a slight cloud coverage, we welcome you to the track dubbed as the Green Hell by Sir Jackie Stewart, more commonly known as the Nürburgring. Tonight we're diving deep into the abyss, not of a Nordschleifer thankfully, instead getting on a 4.5 kilometer long GP Strecke built in 1984 and since then hosting a handful of worldwide racing events. As the drivers are awaited by two 30-minute races with one bonus lap at the end of each. If drivers manage to get past the notorious Mercedes Arena on lap 1, currently navigated by psychedelics on your screens, which is the usual culprit of early race incidents. Hello and welcome. And tonight is gonna be rather interesting. We do have a small field once again, but the track is not very big, so that might as well be interesting as lap traffic comes into consideration. On your screen right now you can see the preview of what's gonna happen today during our two races on the Nürburgring GP Strecke shortened, which emits the basically the entirety of the second sector, as well as the fast chicane opted instead for the longer one. The lap record on the track was set earlier this weekend by Jamie Green at 120.3, and during our qualifying the drivers are currently very close to it but still not ahead of it. As you can see right now, the leader McLaren team sitting at 120.414 with his teammate Photon Burst just 1/10 behind. Everybody else in the league of their own, two McLarens, as Guns's Psychedelics and Mr. Grind are very close to each other, with Neon Tiger and Viperian jostling for 6th position currently, as we have just under 2 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Let us see who is on the track. Currently we're switching to our current qualifying leader. McLaren team is negotiating third sector with just one turn to go until he crosses the start finish line, and see if he is gonna go for yet another lap or that is enough for him. 120.414 is time to beat set by him, and we are having 121.6. That's not good enough, but he has time for exactly one more lap from this point forward. Drivers will have just one more attempt. We have two drivers in the pits. That's a Neon Tiger and Viperian. Their qualifying is done. They were not close to the lead pack, so it makes some sort of sense they're not gonna go again. The rest 5 are gonna try to gain something from this qualifying as they have one more lap to go. Everybody will have one more lap, starting from McLaren team, who we are spectating right now. He's negotiating the short circuit, basically the shortcut, the hairpin. We do have a couple of corners that should not be corners here, so I'm gonna mess up the naming a little bit. Gunses is now heading to the pit lane, so his qualifying is done, as we have the clock ticking down the final 15 seconds on it, as we have the driver of Mr. Grinder, I believe. Yes, Mr. Grinder crossing the line right now, not improving, still 1.8 seconds back. He will have one more attempt. Let's see if he's gonna take it. Meanwhile, McLaren team goes onto the start finish line. Let's see if he improves any, and he sets a 120.407. It is faster, just barely, but it's fast enough to secure his position on pole. Next car is gonna be Photon Burst. He's negotiating the S's right now, so he will have the whole backstretch to go. We're going inside of a car. He is going faster than his own time currently on the Delta DRS. Wide open as English easy. As he heads to this chicane. This is gonna be the crucial moment. How late can he go? How well can he negotiate these corners? Not as fast as he would have wanted. He loses a little bit of time, but still one more corner to go. As he approaches the final hairpin, just sails the car into it, off of the corner, and looks like he's not gonna get here. As he sets time not good enough, 120.5. Mr. Grinder is the last to qualify. He's on the exit of the last corner right now. Is he gonna improve? And the answer is... I don't think so. No, he isn't. And that sets our grid for the race. McLaren team on pole, followed by Photonburst, Gunsis, Psychedelics, Mr. Grinder, Neon Tiger, and Viperion, as we have some mad zoomies by the cars, by the looks of it. As we're gonna try to find an angle that is not entirely too horrible for you right here. Slightly failing to do so. The angles are just staggering, so we're gonna look at the pit complex right here before the start of this race. Very, very glorious Nürburgring GP pit complex. As we have the clock ticking down, just 2 minutes till the drivers are away for the first, of the 2 races this weekend. And apparently during the final qualifying lap for Psychedelics, he ran out of juice and was not able to improve. Though to be honest, the only position he could have improved there was over Gunz, it looks like. And yeah, he starts on the 2nd row. And good luck improving any further, as it looks like our leading duo is absolutely untouchable in 2 Mercedes cars. McLaren team on pole, Photonburst just a 10th behind him, but more than a second clear of everybody else. This is gonna be an interesting domination, an interesting inter-team battle, because right now, Photonburst really needs all the points he can get in the fight for 2nd place against Gunsis. So we'll see if Team will fight his teammate here, or is he gonna let him through and let him have the win? Just over half a minute till we have the lights, as we patiently await the famous 5. The Beatles were the famous 4. We're gonna have 1 extra when the lights go bright and the drivers are ready to go. The engines roaring. We are ready, and here we go. Lights are coming on. Actually, we're gonna have 6. We're gonna have a bonus one because Assetto Corsa screws the rules. We have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Look, but never stare, as we are off for the first round at Nürburgring. The drivers are heading to the first corner. The famous Nürburgring Mercedes Arena. It's gonna be interesting. McLaren team slightly blocks his teammate in the first turn, not letting him have the inside right here. He swings out wide. Foden being very careful here not to take them both out. Looks like we are somewhat single file through here. Mr. Grinder looks to get past Psychedelics in turn 3 in Mercedes Arena. We have a battle behind them. Neon Tiger and Viperion jostling at it. We are going back to the top 3. The leaders are as good as gone. Gunz is a little bit in a battle with himself, and the rest are still close to each other. Mr. Grinder a little bit too wide heading here out of the hairpin. Nothing too criminal, as he still maintains his 4th position with Psychedelics a little bit loose right here in turn 1. The tires are gonna be very, very cold on the first lap. That's gonna come into consideration, as he is a little bit loose, letting Mr. Grinder get away with it and close the gap to Gunsis, as he is trying to well, defend from his new teammate Viperion. This very, very white car is due to team change. Viperion is now a part of Phoenix Racing Team in the Audi. He was driving a Mercedes in Team United Kiviland before, but with his teammate no show in most of the season, he made the jump. And let's see if they can secure any sort of good team points right here. Speaking of good team points, here we go. Team Dennis and Dennis still close together, locked in a battle for the lead. I'm not sure anyone will want to make a move right here. They're very close to each other, but there is no point in racing right now. We still have a full pit cycle to go. There is a mandatory tire stop at some point during this race. So the order is gonna change, and under risking of taking them both out, they might not try anything entirely too stupid. However, team is locked into the championship before this weekend, and Timberwolves Racing are locked into the team championship. So even if they don't get a single point from this point forwards, they're not gonna lose much, as I believe we have the first one. Let go! We have a big crash caught on screens as Viperian was very slow heading into the final hairpin and collected Neon Tiger here, who almost hit the divider wall into the pit lane. Looks like they're both still on track, but both lost heaps of time as Psychedelics went away. I'm not entirely sure what was going on with Viperian. He was seemingly very, very slow out of the chicane. We'll see how that affects their races. Now they lost 5 to 10 seconds to the pack they were chasing, which is now being headed by Gunses in third place, as two Mercedes cars proceed to go far, far away from everybody else, basically. So it looks like we're having ourselves 3 packs in a field of 7 right here. We have 2 Mercedes far away, still close together. Guns is being caught by Mr. Grinder lap after lap. They're getting closer and closer together as Gunther spins out all by himself in the chicane and gonna lose a lot of time. He manages to avoid the wall, but he loses a lot of time. Is he gonna go to the pit lane? Yes, he will. This set of tires is ruined, so he's electing for the early stop because of this. Definitely lost a lot of time in position to Grinder and Psychedelics, and might lose even more time to Neon Tiger and Viperian after that spin. That was a very, very deep spin from him. He's gonna go straight to the pit lane. We're gonna go on board for that stop. That's gonna be hopefully quite a short stop. I don't think any damage happened to his car as he avoided the wall. He might have missed his pit box as he's trying to back in and out of it. And in and out of it again. Something is happening on the pit lane here to this car, and serious issues for the solo Gunther Scharf Malibu helmet entry, as just now he leaves his pit lane, losing an incredible amount of time, and it's gonna be an uphill battle for the Latvian to get any sort of good points from this. Very, very bizarre situation on pit lane. We're gonna head back onto the track where Mr. Grinder and Psychedelics still together. They are almost gonna lap Gunses after this situation. I'm not sure they're aware of the extent of the issues happening on pit lane. It was almost as bad as Pietro Fittipaldi's stop earlier today, where they lost an incredible amount of time. Psychedelics sets fast lap for himself at 122.1. With Mr. Grinder answer at 122.8, so almost a full second gain by the German on the BMW entry of Mr. Grinder, the number 20 car. That's gonna be an interesting battle. Still less than a second between McLaren team and Photon Burst. Well, now more than a second, and they seem to be posting identical times, so nothing entirely too serious happening between them right now. So we'll see how that's gonna go. Gunst is now a solid minute back from the leader with a minute 20 lap. If he's not gonna get any faster anytime soon, he might find himself lapped, which is yeah, not entirely too good for him, I'm gonna bet. Still locked in a battle for third. The first, we still look at 1 second gap. at 121.2, 121.5 for Photon Burst. So team is slowly building the gap. You need a 3-second gap or higher to get away from the DRS range here. The DRS range, not like the Formula 1. Here it's 3 DRS uses per lap. With 1 detection zone as they go inside by side into turn 1. It's Psychedelics versus Mr. Grinder. Mr. Grinder on the inside. He'll have to swing wide to defend his position. Psychedelics was not taking it here, but he might look into the turn 3. He's looking for the inside, not close enough. Certainly not close enough, but he is looking inspired by the Audi performance in real life. No doubt he's looking for that podium position as the battle continues. Very, very good stuff right here. So we're looking at 2 battle packs. The leaders are still together. Let's go to Photon Burst and see how his battle against his teammate and the champion McLaren team is going. You can still see him directly ahead, and the letterbox is wide open on that car, but it might as well be filled with bricks as he's gaining no time at all on a championship leader. And well, basically I championed the car number 71, you see, right ahead of Photon, his own teammate in a Mercedes. 2 Mercs occupying the first 2 positions in this race as we have 21.5 minutes plus 1 lap. A little bit of oversteer on the exit of turn 1 for Photon. These tires are very well up to temp, but might not be entirely in the operational range. It's English. It's quite a hot day today in Germany, so we might see the track temp being very, very high in comparison and ruining that rubber. So the early pit stop strategy might work if it is the case. So you have a slightly cooler tire for a bit, trying to undercut your own teammate. It's 1.2 seconds. It's nothing out of ordinary for an undercut if you make it work within a couple of laps. But so far, Photon is chasing his teammate, and they're still together in a battle. Speaking of battles, we're switching on board to Psychedelics. Car number 14, the Audi, with the letterbox wide open as well, chasing Mr. Grinder into the chicane. Is he gonna go? He was gaining a lot of time, but he's not gonna go into the chicane just yet. Still chasing his German opponent. This is a very German battle for the podium. 2 different makes though. The BMW is in 3rd, the Audi is in 4th. So we might be looking for the 2nd place in the Constructors' Championship for the results of this race between them. DRS wide open once again for Psychedelics as he is looking for a move into turn 1. They're both going quite wide here, and still quite a bit of a gap for Mr. Grinder. He is making himself rather safe from the send from behind, but still, pace-wise, it's gonna be close between those two. 124.3 from Viper. Oh! Psychedelics is loose and he's out and he is into the wall! Heavy impact for the Audi driver of number 14. This is definitely gonna have some damage on this car in the front end. You see scuff marks on the front left where the car impacted the wall. He lost some time. I'm not sure he's gonna lose enough to lose the position, but that battle might as well be over for the podium. Mr. Grinder might breathe a sigh of relief a little bit as Psychedelics will continue his chase, and we'll see if he's gonna go into the pit lane as a result of it to just get some new tires and salvage a race strategy, at least, as we have less than 20 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Let's see if anybody is heading to the pit lane. No, they aren't. We continue the race as it is for now. As we're gonna go back to P2 of Photon Burst. We're gonna go on board and we're gonna listen to the glorious Mercedes DTM engine for about a lap or so. Burst still losing time to his teammate, almost at the 3-second threshold right now. The importance of the threshold, as I explained a little bit earlier, is that you can open DRS as long as you're within 3 seconds of the car ahead at the detection point, which is the start-finish line. He will have DRS for this lap, but not for the next lap, and as we saw another lockup from Photon, he needs all the points he can get, although his main opponent Gunsis had a massive blunder at the pit stop. So he will be losing lots of points if he doesn't salvage something from this. And from salvaging something, he is 20 seconds away from that at the least, as he is 20 seconds behind Viperian. Viperian will need to stop though, so there might be position gain, but Gunsis is still definitely not in the clear, as the championship might be blown wide open before the final event at the Hockenheim Ring in a couple weeks time. Still have half a race to go here. We might have the battle back on the menu as we see battle for third. Psychedelics now back within 2 seconds, and never mind that, as the German heads onto the pit lane. He's gonna be the third car? Oh, never mind. Viperian didn't stop, so he's gonna be the second car on the pit lane today in this race. Let's see if he's gonna go any better than what Gunsis did earlier on. The driver stops. This is a very, very bumpy pit lane. The reason behind that, we're gonna discuss it a little bit later. As you see, a little bump as he exits the pit lane from his pit. The reason behind that is due to the downhill nature of the start-finish straight. Due to the entire course, not just the GP course, but the Nordschleife being built around, well, nature and the hills. They didn't flatten anything. The entirety of the pit lane is actually a downhill slope, which is very, very difficult if you need to stop the car, lift it, have work on it, drop it, and have it generally stationary. So every few boxes, there is actually a little bit of a drop in the tarmac to make sure every single pit box is now level, as I'll continue that in a moment as we see both our leaders on the pit lane as we speak. We see McLaren Tim dropping really hard, as you see the car of Photon right here having a little bit of a drop as he parks on his pistol. Makes it very difficult to navigate the car. Mr. Grinder as well on the pit lane right here. We'll see where he rejoins in regards to Psychedelics he was having a battle with. You see the car dropping. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The drop to make sure every single pit box itself where the service on the car is being held is level and the car is not sliding up or down. They have to have those small and subtle drops between those two. So basically it's a giant staircase for the cars. So if you drive through a few pit boxes in a row, you will have a very bad time, as the car is gonna jump a lot and possibly wear out those springs or bottom out. So it's a constant risk if you're driving through a few pit lanes and not onto the fast lane, as the fast lane itself is actually sloped just like the start-finish straight. A very, very peculiar little pit lane this. Very challenging for the drivers. And obviously if you drive through a couple of pit boxes before your own and you take that drop while your car is in the air and well, having little of contact with the ground, you're not gonna have this braking momentum. And it's very, very easy to actually misjudge and miss your pit box as you're pitting, which might have been the case with Gunsis earlier on, as he had to reverse back onto his pit lane. If you jump and miss your pit box, you'll have to reverse and lose valuable time before you get any service done on your car. But what we see right now is Psychedelics being nearly 4 seconds back on Mr. Grind, as you see the difference between those two cars. So very good service for the number 20 car and very good, well, first lap for him. Obviously Psychedelics will close a little bit as Grinder's tires warm up, but not close enough to get into the attack range. Neon Tiger though in front of both of them right here in third position. He is yet to take his service. Him and Viperian, I believe, the only two haven't stopped yet, although I admit I might have missed Viperian's stop, though he's still in front of Gunsis, so that might not exactly be true, because Viperian lost a lot of time early on. I'm not quite sure, the gap is 7 seconds, I might have missed that. as the gap between him and Neon Tiger is 19 seconds. I don't think that would have happened on track unless Viperian had another issue we missed on the broadcast. Still 12 minutes to go. We're gonna keep a close eye on everything that's happening. Neon Tiger definitely has to pit, so Mr. Grinder is in net third position as of now. We'll see if anything changes. Photon Burst is now 6 seconds back, so McLaren team had a much better pit in and out as well, and he is in the clear from his teammate. Photon Burst very comfortably in the second place right now. And the battle for the third continues as Grinder and Psychedelics within 4 seconds of each other, but Psychedelics is all out of DRS range, so it's an uphill climb for the number 14 German car. A little bit of a lockup for the number 12 American entry of Neon Tiger. His teammate is catching up. Number 12 and number 12 are definitely teammates, but number 12 and number 20 are the teammates. Mr. Grinder had completed his stop by now. Neon Tiger hasn't, so we might see some slight team orders as he moves out of the way if Grinder catches him and try to be a little bit of a nuisance for Psychedelics behind. As Psychedelics and Viperian, I shall repeat, are teammates as well, starting from this race onwards. Still 10 minutes plus 1 lap to go. We still have a few battles possibly happening depending on the post-pit pace and the tire difference of a couple of cars. Gunsis is now closing on Viperian rapidly, 3 seconds between those two as we speak, so we might switch to them at some point, but Neon Tiger is very, very close in front, and he gets out of the way and into the pit lane. Very, very wise team decision from Neon Tiger. He gets out of the way of his teammate to not impede his progress in a battle for the podium. Now we're gonna have the pit from on board of number 12 and see where he rejoins. We might switch though, as Gunsis is closing the gap very rapidly on Viperian. That'll be for 6th and 7th as they stand, might be 5th and 6th, as Neon Tiger pits from the top pit box. He made the pit box. He's gonna have very, very short run out of his pit lane. He might as well not have the pit limiter on. We see both cars just getting by him. There we see, this is Gunsis, this is him, and very, very fresh rubber on Neon Tiger's car. Let's see if he's gonna chase Viperian and Gunsis. Here's the battle. We're gonna go on board with the 000 Latvian entry of Gunsis Giraffe Malibu helmet as he is chasing that P5. Remember, he needs every single position he can get from this race to stay in the battle with Photon Burst for second position overall. Sharky held this second position before his participation dwindled, and now these two, Photon Burst, who's now in second place, and Gunsis, who is currently, after his earlier spin, finds himself just in 6th position, are the main competitors for P2 in the standings. DRS wide open, very, very loose, heading into the chicane, hard on the brakes. We'll see if the rear steps out. It does step out in Gunsis, but here we have what I was talking about. Viperian did not, in fact, take his mandatory stop, and he is doing that now. That will drop him all the way to the 7th position, and Gunsis gets up to 5th, but I do not think he's gonna get any further than that, barring any mistakes from our leaders, as he's 16 seconds behind P4. And here we have our bunch of leaders here. We have Photon Burst in second place, 7.5 seconds back from leader. Has comfortable almost 20-second gap on Mr. Grinder. The Mercedes performance is staggering. Absolute domination of Timberwolves Racing over everybody else. But this is the battle we're interested in. Mr. Grinder in 3rd position. And there, the car behind him is Psychedelics in 4th. Still, the gap is 5 seconds between them. Let's see if Psychedelics can do anything about it. Very, very interesting to see if anything is gonna change. Well, the software decided to kill itself for a second. Never mind, we got it back. Nothing to worry about, ladies and gentlemen. This is all fine, as we're having just slight issues. This is fine. Viperian, meanwhile, goes a lap down on our leader. McLaren team goes through. That means a Photon Burst is gonna be the next one. We're gonna go with Psychedelics right now as he's chasing the fellow German. This is a battle for the podium. Psychedelics was not that close to the podium for quite a while. So we'll see where it goes from here. Mr. Grinder also missed a few races, so any points he can get will lift him higher and higher in the overall standings as he's trying to regain a couple positions overall. So this is all, might be all well and boring and kind of far away from each other at this point in the race. But championship wise, this might as well be bunching up the field as McLaren team posts 121.011, the fastest lap of the race right now. Very close to his qualifying performance. Once again, the lap record has not been beaten yet, sitting at 123.3. We're still gonna have our second qualifying round later today. Don't go anywhere once this race concludes. We're still gonna have ourselves one more 30-minute race after this with its own qualifying, so we're gonna have way more action waiting for you today. But we're gonna wait and see if McLaren team can improve by 0.07 of a second to claim that lap record from Jamie Green of Team Audi. Still 5 minutes to go. The gap is building a little bit. As we don't have much on track action, we're gonna go for a minute with our leader McLaren team, so you can see by yourselves just how ridiculously fast that man is with the roar of his engine from inside the cockpit. Brilliant, brilliant driver. McLaren team is already a champion in both Drivers' Championship and as a member of Timberwolves Racing in Teams Championship. And obviously a brilliant performance by the guy who's currently in second place. His teammate Photon Burst also gonna get a title for the Teams Championship, but now still in a huge fight with Gunses for that overall driver's second spot. It's gonna be a close battle till the end, no doubt about that. We're gonna have ourselves probably 3 or 4 more laps in this race, just waiting for the basically start-finish line confirmation as we approach the end of the race. Not spectating too many on-track battles right now, which is mildly disappointing, but still, as we approach the end of the championship, it's still very close and interesting. Before this round, remember, Gunses had, let's see, a 47-point lead over Photon Burst. 47 points with 40-point gain for a win. So now with Photon getting 36 points and Kunz is on track for just 19. You can do the math and see that that is instantly a 17-point loss out of 47 that there were. So we are left with just 30 points between them with 3 races to go. And 30 points, my friends, is not a lot. 30 points is not a lot. We still have qualifying points where Photon got another point, don't forget, over Gunz's. So this championship is still wide open with 3 races to go and a little bit left in this race. So it's definitely not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. As for the rest of the battles in the championship, as drivers continue to go in circles in quite big gaps, we have Mr. Grinder who continues to climb the ranks, but Psychedelics was just 20 points behind. So with Neon Tiger 50 points ahead of Grinder, so that's a battle for 6th and maybe even 4th and 5th in the championship, as Master Ponchik and Sharky occupying 4th and 5th place are not present today. So this is still wide open outside of the podium position too. We're gonna wait and see what happens as Photon burst all of a sudden with a fast lap race of 120.9. The boy found himself some speed, and that might be him just telling Tim that he cannot relax just yet. There's still a race to go, and I still have pace, mate. So we might have ourselves a battle in the next race in a few minutes. As the clock continues to wind down for race number 1, we have 20 seconds as our leader still just navigating the S section and getting onto the back stretch. He will not get the flag before timer expires, so we're gonna have one more lap after this as we switch our focus to the leader. McLaren team with yet another flawless race, although the fastest lap has been stolen by his teammate. Will he try to get it back? He has one more lap to prove that he is superior in this race and get yet another Grand Slam with the qualifying victory, leading start to finish, and get himself a fast lap. McLaren team sets on the final adventure of this race. His fastest is 120.966, with 120.903 being the fastest overall by Photon Burst. And let's see if team goes for it or if he settles for just, well, a massive point haul. There is a lapped car of Neon Tiger, well, about to be lapped car in front of him, which will give team DRS he needs for the fastest lap. So we'll see if he's gonna try to risk it. He is a racer. He's a racing driver through and through, so I can't imagine him just as well trying to go for it. Neon Tiger is gonna play a little bit of a roadblock in front of him. Team will have a little bit of a tow. Oh, he's into the wall, off the track, and into the wall is McLaren Tim. Trying, no doubt, to get for the fastest lap of a race. Might be a little bit of a case of blocking by Neon Tiger here. Photon Burst is chasing, but it might be just a chase too wild. He got a couple of seconds, but not close enough. As this is the final lap, he lost a few seconds, but McLaren team, as long as he negotiates that final corner, is gonna be a race winner for race number 1 at the Nürburgring and race number 15 in the championship. McLaren team wins the race, but Photon Burst finishes in 2nd place with the fastest lap, setting up the battle for race number 2. Mr. Grind is gonna finish the race in 3rd position, but here we have, well, Viperian is a lapped car, but Psychedelics dropped all the way to 13 seconds back on Mr. Grinder and was getting caught by Gunz's right here for 4th and 5th place, but still 5-second gap between those two. So I doubt anything is gonna happen here on the finish line. Psychedelics successfully negotiates the penultimate turn. 3 seconds between him and Gunz. Psychedelics is mighty slow at the end. He just needs to take the line, and he does so in 4th place. Gunz is left to just fifth. Very disappointing weekend for, well, very disappointing race so far for the Latvian, as he loses quite a few points to Fortenburst in a fight for second overall, and the final car to finish the race is gonna be Neon Tiger. He was not lapped. Might have impeded team a little bit. We're gonna leave it to the drivers and the stewards to decide if there was any impeding under blue flags, but he crosses the line in 6th place, which concludes our race number 1 of this weekend. McLaren team takes the win from Fortenburst, Mr. Grinder, Psychedelics, Gunsis, Neon Tiger, and Viperian. Well then, that was certainly an entertaining race. And, well, don't go anywhere. We have another half an hour of racing waiting for you in race 2, which will be preceded by the qualifying in just a few minutes. Until then, don't go anywhere, as we will be right back after this commercial break.
Hi, I'm Norman Mitchell, standing here in front of BBC Wellness Center in Houston, Texas.
Mid-County area is where we're going. Port Arthur, Nederland, Port Neches.
We're in Canovanas, the shelter here in Puerto Rico.
We're here at Jardín Pushkin in Colonia Roma.
The hallmark of disasters is you have to do what you do, you just have to do more of it faster. 2017 has seen more large-scale emergencies in sequence than ever before in direct relief 70-year history. The people who know the most, have the most at stake, are going to do the best job with the resources they have are the ones who live there.
Just received a large shipment of critical medicine from Direct Relief.
Some gauze, some bandages for people that are managing the response and rescue efforts.
You're standing strong, united with every other organization providing primary care and critical access to those individuals who have been most impacted.
finally, we are back. It's the DTM. We're here in...
This is the fastest form of touring car racing. We've got 3 of the biggest manufacturers in the world.
Down with the victim. We both know you need them. Stuck in the middle of all irrelevance. You can't fight the friction. You can't take the pressure.
Fucking idiot from Watara.
Safety car deployed. Safety car deployed.
You can't fight the friction.
From where we came on the grid, to be in the points was my dream. To be on the podium is amazing.
Does it improve the lives of people? That's the true measure of any technology or any new investment. And you hope to God that basic core human element is never lost, no matter how technologically advanced we get as people. So the human case has always been strong for what direct relief does. People who are poor or stuck in these terrible circumstances need help. That basic idea to listen, not impose, to be respectful and not arrogant is still as valid as it was in 1948. Principles really don't change, and I think direct relief, fortunately, started with good ones of being open-minded, kind of big-hearted with respect to people's needs, and hard-headed when it comes to other people's money. When you look back and think direct relief has played a significant role in many of the signature humanitarian events over the past 70 years, the combination of those characteristics has served the organization well, and they're sort of timeless. You're surrounded by inspiration if you see it. I think anytime, if you've never done something, you've done something at one scale, it's scary to think how you can do it at 10 times the scale. But at the end of the basic decision was pretty easy. Why would we not do this when the signals were all pointing in the right direction? The dedication of the building is really a rededication to the cause, to the idea, and a commemoration to the people whose generosity made it possible. What it represents is a much greater capability to help more people with tools that we have embedded in it, with the experience of 70 years. To bring those together in this building so we can do more in the same efficient way we've always tried to do it is really exciting. And we are sobered by the challenge, but deeply thankful for the opportunity to keep doing what Direct Relief has been doing for the past 70 years.
Hello and welcome back to Phoenix World Championship as we are approaching race number 16 of the championship and race number 2 of the weekend. Just a final couple of minutes of the practice session before the drivers head towards the qualifying session for the race. 10 more minutes trying to set the fastest lap. Let me remind you that 1:20.4 was the fastest lap set on the previous quali, and my error 1:20 flat was the actual fastest qualifying time this week at the Nürburgring, set by Jamie Green. 0.031 was the actual timing, so still lots and lots of space left to cover by these drivers. We still have 7 competitors on the track, and we still have 30 minutes plus 1 lap to decide who is gonna be the fastest one this time. The main focus once again between the drivers of McLaren team and Fortenburst, 2 Mercedes entries for the Timberwolves Racing, and 2 probably fastest cars on the grid right now. Gonna be duking it out amongst themselves, and the rest trying to fight for that remaining podium position. Alright, so we're having just a final few seconds of figuring out who goes where and how before the cars are allowed back on track on the qualifying effort. We do seem to have one more car finishing off their practice rounds, and there we go. The qualifying is gonna start in a couple seconds. And once again, if you look at the top of the screen, the Phoenix World Championship Direct Relief campaign is still ongoing from now till the very end of the season at the Hockenheimring in 2 weeks' time. We are raising money for the less fortunate people currently in distress. With more info on Direct Relief, please click the links. Click the links below the stream on Twitch, and there you can also find the donation link if you so desire. Thank you very much. As we saw, Fortenburst taking an unorthodox line into the Mercedes arena, letting his teammate through. I don't know if he's gonna try to pick up the toe from him, or he just forgot to brake, or what happened, but this is very interesting tactic from our resident Dutchman here in 28 entry of Timberwolves Racing. The drivers are heading onto their outlaps down into the bend and to the NGK chicane, after which they will have one more corner to cover before they trek out onto the start-finish straight and start their fast laps. And here we go, Fortenburst right behind McLaren Tim. Maybe he's looking for that sweet toe onto the start-finish straight. There they go, acceleration into the first turn of the corner. The Yokohama S, the right-hander downhill, very difficult to get just right. Heavy braking into turn 1. Into the Mercedes arena, turns 2, 3 and 4. A really difficult challenge, especially on colder tires, as I have to navigate a couple of left-handers onto the right-hander out of the arena, heading onto the right-hand hairpin right ahead through the AstroTurf. Cover all the ground you can onto the right-hand hairpin here, which is the shortcut of the sprint configuration. Heading back onto the track itself, going through the Vastana curve, German, it's weird, onto the back straight, which has a kink, which they decide to have a turn, but my Racing Hard disagrees with it, as they go especially very flat through here, into the NGX curve, the left-right tight chicane, onto the main, onto the short pit straight, and the right-hander hairpin onto the main straight, which concludes the fast lap. The first numbers are coming in McLaren team is gonna set 120.8 and Burst is gonna set 120.834, says my timing screen. I'm not sure if it's gonna count or not. He might have cheated a little bit taking that lap, but obviously he's gonna have a couple more attempts to set competitive times. Gunsis with 122.2, Psychedelics with 122.3, Neon Tiger sets 123.8, Viperion at 124.5, and Mr. Grinder steals the podium spot, setting a 122 flat. Still 6.5 minutes for the drivers to set their laps. McLaren team gets out of the way, gets back onto the pit lane as Fodenberg is going for another fast lap. Obviously unhappy with how his first time lap probably did not count due to track extending. He'll have to get at least one more in before he is counted for the grid. He's going through the tight chicane once again towards the end of the Sector 3 and the track itself. And let's see what he does this time around. 124.8 time to beat. And he does 120.453, which puts him on provisional pole with 5.5 minutes to go. McLaren team straight out of a pit lane. He knows he's not safe. 120.40 was the fastest lap in qualifying number 1. So they still have not reached that, so there's potential to go. Gunsa says 121.9 back into the 3rd position. Neon Tiger sets 123.1 to 6. Viperion improves 123.2, but not close enough to get into 6th place, just 1/10 behind Neon Tiger. Mr. Grider back onto the pit lane. The next car to cross start-finish straight will be McLaren Tim, and he's gonna start his flying lap. Let's go on board with the American, the California resident, going for the fastest lap. Mr. Grinder lets McLaren team by as he is improving on his delta a little bit, but still very, very close to call just yet. The letterbox wide open everywhere he can. It's basically free for all rules for DRS in qualifying. You can open it if you dare. Say the rules as we are on to the back straight. The band is definitely gonna go with DRS wide open all the way to the chicane. He's basically matching his own delta, but it's not good enough to beat Burst right now. He's gonna have to go much faster than that. The DRS open once again on a short run to the final turn. He takes that right-hander. He'll have to swing wide all the way to the heavy curb right here. DRS open all the way to the start-finish line, and he posts 120.654, which is faster than his own best, but not good enough, and he is in 2nd place right now. Burst still in the lead. Gunsis will need all the points he can get, and a couple of good qualifying times will not hurt that. The qualifying gives you bonus points for top 3. 3 points for the winner, 2 points for the 2nd place, and 1 point for the 3rd. And in his battle for 2nd position, every point counts. So he would like to be on top of that duo, which is not gonna happen. So he'll try to salvage his 3rd position. He's in the grass coming out of a chicane right here, so it's not gonna happen on this lap, but he might start yet another fast lap here. Right behind him is Neon Tiger. He will have that sweet toe. Mr. Grinder back onto the pit lane. Neon Tiger will have sweet toe from Goodson. Psychedelics will have sweet toe. Sorry, is that Viperion? I thought it was Psychedelics. Yeah, it was Psychedelics. We'll have that, toe from Neon Tiger as they all negotiate that lap once again. Just slightly over 2 minutes left in the qualifying effort. Everybody is bunched together. I'm gonna switch to the battle behind. Psychedelics is enjoying a lot of tow from the American. He just needs to be careful not to be entirely too fast so they don't trip over each other. But it's very, very interesting what happens, because it is a very, very fortunate position for Psychedelics, especially on the back straight where he's gonna pick up a ton of overspeed from the American in front of him and maybe get a couple of positions, including the ones of Gunz and Mr. Grinder. If he does that, he will have 1 point for qualifying. Also important for him, as the rest of the grid below P3 currently are also locked in their own battle. 120.447 from Photon Burst. Yet another fastest time. Neon Tiger off the track, the lap 1 count, and Psychedelics gets out of it too, so 2 laps ruined. Viperian was not on a fast lap, so he will not ruin his own lap. Gunz does a 121.6. Psychedelics is out of it. Is he? Well, he can't be letting them through now. Viperian says, never mind, Viperian says 122.5. So he was on a fast lap, but I don't think he was impacted much. Psychedelics ruined that lap, so he stops on track. Viperian stops on track, so both the qualifying efforts are done in 5th and 6th are the teammates in an Audi. Let's see if Neon Tiger will improve on that. McLaren team still 2 tenths back, and we are going to be starting the final efforts. I believe the only one who might still have 2 laps to go is Photon Burst. We have half a minute to go. He is approaching the NGK chicane right now. He is on a flying lap. Let's see what happens. And everybody else is gonna be driving under the checkered flag. We still have 5 drivers on their hot laps. Burst is gonna have 1 more attempt, but let's see if he sets anything on this lap or if he was saving to get cool and nice tires for the next lap. Yeah, one second back on his time. That was definitely not the fastest of efforts. But now we're gonna get the checkered flag in a couple seconds. That means everybody is gonna be driving their final flying lap, starting with Gunz right here. Is he able to save his 3rd position? He is not... he is fast enough. He is 121.6, staying in 3rd place. He is done with the qualifier. Next one is Neon Tiger, sitting right where he is. Mr. Grinder is gonna be the next one, and I believe the final one to cross the start-finish line, and he sets a 121.5, still in the podium position from Gunz, and 1 point. Oh, another unfortunate result for the Latvian as he gets robbed out of his 1 point for qualifying, losing 3 more to Photon Burst, who wins this qualifying effort, whole 3 points. As Photon Burst from McLaren team, from Mr. Grinder, from Gunz, from Psychedelics, Neon Tiger, and Viperian and Neon Tiger. This is our grid for race number 16. Crazy qualifying, and not the usual result for everyone involved. Photon Burst takes the qualifying from his teammate. Gunz is not able to stay in the top 3, so that's another point lost. And that means the title battle is even closer now. Wow. This is definitely going to be interesting. We have 1 and a bit minutes before the lights are out, so everybody prepares for the start of a race. A little bit of a moment of breather, if you will, for the drivers. Definitely not for me in the commentating booth, as I am alone today. We're gonna get a little bit of the race primer for you meanwhile, so you can refresh your memory on where we are, what is going on, and what this track is about. The weekend number 8 at Nürburgring, and you see the Hockenheimring. The second event at Hockenheimring is gonna happen on September 29th, the final event of the championship. Make sure to not miss that. Still a few positions to be decided. Basically everything but the first is still up for grabs. And this is gonna be incredibly interesting all the way to the end. We have just under a minute to go. Thank you, S-Tracker, not needed. The apps are acting out a little bit, but this is absolutely fine as we are getting ready. 30 seconds to go here. And this is about to be fun. The fastest drivers in the previous race are starting behind where they should. So we might see lots of close on-track action, lots of overtaking, as the most awaited red things are on the top of your screen. We have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, 5, and a 6th one for good measure. And away we go! 30 minutes plus 1 lap. Here we go at the Nürburgring GP short as they're storming towards turn 1. Great start from Mr. Grinder. He might be challenging McLaren team for the position right here as they storm turn 1 and missed corner by both of them. Nice crossover from the Ford and burst. Mr. Grinder misses everything completely, and now McLaren team is under attack from Gunses for the 2nd position. Side by side they go into Mercedes arena. Ford and burst says thank you very much, I'll keep my lead for now. But Gunses a little bit overshoots turn 3 and now under fire again from Mr. Grinder, who sent it all the way into turn 1. But so far, I believe the only overtake happening is by, well, Gunses on Mr. Grinder, who completely lost the plot, the track, and the brakes into turn 1. And, well, the position as the result of it. Psychedelics, Viperian, Holden Station right now in positions 5 and 6. Neon Tiger with a little bit of a slow start, all the way down to P7, but he's still sort of with the pack. Mr. Grinder weaving back and forth, trying to get a little bit of a hit into the tires early on to try to chase Gunses. The leaders are still close to each other, but they are breaking away from the back slightly as we conclude the first lap of, well, many basically. Gunses in 3rd place, trying to build a gap from Mr. Grinder early on. Let's see if this happens. There's kind of breaking away from Psychedelics in 5th place right here. So far, so good for the two of them. But obviously this is far from over. Mr. Grinder, decent speed, he showed it on the qualified. Is he able to maintain that in the race? And is Gunses able to finish one race without a major mistake, losing his points? In the middle of lap 2 we are. A little bit of stretching in the field happening right now. 2 leaders breaking away. Gunses is trying to maintain a very high pace, trying to shake the German entry of Mr. Grinder, number 20 BMW, off his tail, who still needs all the points he can get. He got the podium in the first race of the weekend. Let's see if he is able to get another one in the second race. Not very likely. After his start, he did ruin his tires a little bit on that massive tire lock into turn 1, but it won't affect him just yet. A lot of vibrations in this car, I reckon, but not enough to lose lots of pace. 121.4, 121.5 from the duo of leaders. And for once we're looking at the McLaren team car and we see somebody in front. This is the in-car view from number 71 chasing his teammate Foden Burst, who had some pace early on and finally able to translate it into actual race pace and now leading the race. But remember, in race 1 they were close, but team had much superior pit, which cost a few seconds for Photon, so he needs to be very careful about it. Very careful at the pit stop. He might go off the strategy a little bit to try to shake Tim off his tail with the DRS effort. And if he pits now, a McLaren team will not have any DRS help, but as a result, Photon might end up in a little bit of a traffic after his stop, so it's a little bit of a trade-off. Let's see what happens. So far, they're just holding station between the two of them. And Tim is dropping a little bit. The gap is now opening all the way up to 1 second and over 1 second. And we see Gunses not extremely too far away. We see the whole 5 drivers are still within 5 seconds from first to 5th. Obviously the speed gap is there, but not big enough to lose the sight of each other. Mr. Grinder still on the tail, and a little bit of a lockup by Psychedelics in the 5th. He manages to stay on track but loses a little bit of time to the pack he is chasing. Wow, we had lots of action and lots of close chasing, and we already surpassed the 5-minute mark of the race in... Well, I'm not gonna count it down, but I plan to be a little bit slower telling that, so I would segue real nicely into it, but unfortunately that's not gonna happen, as now we surpassed the 5-minute mark into the race, and we're still close together, 5 seconds from first to fifth, and right now I might use that slight moment of chasing to get a little bit of a breather, as you can enjoy the glorious BMW engine right here on track as we go on board with Mr. Grinder. Mr. Grind is still in hot pursuit of the podium, as we have the battle heating up for the lead here. McLaren team finds some pace and back within half a second of Photon Burst, and looking for a move into turn 1. That's not gonna happen, but now it's a little bit too close for comfort for Photon Burst. He'll have to check up the pace and start going. Currently 121.1 fast lap for Photon, 121 flat for McLaren team that he set on the previous lap. Now he's all over the rear of his teammate. We'll see if he'll try to go. Once again, he's settled on both championships. He is not gonna lose anything other than the race if he tries a move and it doesn't work. So Photon needs to worry about the big picture more than Tim right now. So if anybody is gonna go for a crazy move, it's gonna be the driver of the 71 car we're spectating right now. It's definitely gonna be very interesting. We have the fight for 6th right now, the fight for 3rd, and the fight for thirst. Well, it's Germany after all. And the fight for 1st, as they're negotiating yet another lap, almost a third of a race done. Still nobody electing to go into the pit lane for an early stop and the early gains, for the fear of tires wearing out way more at the end, and well, the fear of losing the positions at the end of the race. And we got the inside intel from the Phoenix Racing team regarding the 14 entry of Psychedelics that had a little bit of slow pace in the final laps of the last race, and apparently the 14 car was very short on fuel. The fuel was marginal, so he had to basically lift and coast all the way to the finish line, with barely having enough to pass inspection at the end after the car finished. So we'll see if the 14 car will be easier on fuel this time around, or if it's a team or car dependent. We're gonna have an eye on his teammate Viperian as well, and who is the only other Audi on the track right now, and see if it's a symptom of all Audi cars. Meanwhile, Photonburst has to go defensive against Tim right here. This is the battle for the lead, ladies and gentlemen. We still have 20 minutes of this action to go. Tim is not going anywhere. The gap is half a second between them, and it's heating up as the teammates are duking it out for the win. 121.8, it was 121.5 previous lap. Fortenburst is slowing down, driving very defensively against his teammate, who's definitely gonna stay on his tail if he goes that slow. So now it's a very difficult debate for Photon. He has three options: drive fast, disregard the car in his mirrors, and try to just outpace him, drive defensively and hope he does it with 0 mistakes for 20 minutes, or dive into the pits now and try to undercut his teammate. This is the difficult decision for him, and the big Mercedes in his rearview mirror is making that decision even more difficult for him. They basically cleared everybody else. Mr. Griner is now falling back from Gunsis for 3rd position, as you see in the timing table, and now almost falling back into the clutches of Psychedelics for 4th position. They're still locked in a championship battle, so Mr. Griner would not want to lose this place to the other German in the standings, the number 14 car. Viperian and Neon Tiger also close to each other, still almost within a second, and now basically within a second for 6th position. So Neon Tiger gotta be all over that DRS button here. We are having 19 minutes plus 1 lap to go. 121.5 pace picking up for Photon Burst, but still nowhere near the fastest laps they were setting at the start of a race. The cars are settling into the pace, and the first car to blink is Gunsis. The Latvian is on the pit road. Let's see if it's the better stop than the previous time. We are on board with the Latvian as he takes his stop. No back and forth for him as he goes right back onto the track, very sideways out, but he completes the stop and taking the first turn out very cautiously inside. We have a battle for the lead once again. McLaren team tries the outside line on his teammate, it doesn't work. He has to put it right back where it was and try again next time. The battle for what is now 5th, we're showing you right now. Once again, very close, heading to the hairpin. Neon Tiger has been stalking the Kiwi Viperian for 5th, well, 6th essentially place, but right now 5th on track for a few laps and now within striking distance. But we have to go back to this duo. They're still very close together and they're still racing. No, there we go. McLaren team goes for the undercut. The 71 car is on the pit lane right now. Fortenburst will have to answer next lap or he might lose that. We're gonna switch to this battle on track as it's happening between Viperian and Neon Tiger, but we're gonna have an eye on McLaren team speed and Fortenburst if he is gonna come in next time by. Neon Tiger is looking on the outside, looking on the inside, looking around side, overside, underside, wherever side he can, trying to get past Viperian, but it's not gonna happen in turn 1 here. He's locking the brakes a little bit, trying to find the inside line. McLaren team is gonna rejoin right behind him. There we see the Timberwolves racing. So unless they pit soon, that might be a problem for Tim, and there might be a saving grace for Photon. I'm not sure Photon knows, but if Team stays out with this duo for much longer, and Photon doesn't pit to also get into this battle, Photon might win this battle by just not doing anything. This race, in a flick of an eye, a flick of a wrist and a wink of an eye, there we go, that's the saying, thank you very much brain, just became the tactical battle. Wow, this changes everything. We have another battle. We have Psychedelics catching up to Grinder. That's been happening for a few laps. None of them blink, and this is gonna be happening on track. Psychedelics very close to Mr. Grinder. This is for 2nd place and net 4th position, I believe, between 2 Germans. Psychedelics, you bat all over the letterbox. And going inside, this is gonna be a drag race towards turn 1, both hard on the brakes. Mr. Grinder has to go around the outside. Will he chop the nose off? Yes, he chops number 14. He has to yield, and he's gonna have to try again sooner rather than later. Neon Tiger is on the pit lane. McLaren team says thank you very much, till next time. Fortenburst stays out. Team enjoys the DRS from Neon Tiger. He's not gonna get it from Viperian. He's way too far back. so that's not gonna happen just yet. We'll see if Viperian will answer to Neon Tiger on the next lap. If that will happen, McLaren team might be winning off in that trade-off. If not, McLaren team might be getting stuck behind and losing valuable time. It all depends on just that one single lap, basically. 1-2 laps might change who is gonna win this race. Meanwhile, on track, we continue the battle between Mr. Grind and Psychedelics. That's the second in it. The German is still all over that letterbox. You saw it right here, opening and closing as they're navigating NGK chicane. 121 flat from Foden Burst. He is answering McLaren team. Both of them going onto the pit lane. There is gonna be no tactical shenanigans between two Germans of Mr. Grind and Psychedelics. They are hell-bent on settling this on track like man. Gonna give kudos to both drivers. Let's see if the pit battle is gonna be as close as their battle on track. Both of them coming in. Let's see who's gonna be the first one out. Short stops. And it looks like Psychedelics completes the pass on the pit lane as Mr. Grind is not there. And look at this. There is Gunsis and there's gonna be a battle all the way through. We're gonna have Gunsis just came through Psychedelics, but Psychedelics is gonna have new rubber. So Gunsis lost in that exchange. He was further up ahead than this. And look at this. Back here we go. We have a battle between McLaren team and Viperian. Viperian hasn't stopped, and now this might ruin McLaren team's race. He needs to go past, and he needs to go past yesterday. He will compromise his time right here. He's losing time behind Viperian. He needs to go. And now the only person winning from that exchange is Viperian, as Mr. Grinder goes past Psychedelics. They're locked in a battle in the S's. Mr. Grinder will go around the outside. Will he complete the pass? Maybe, maybe not. They're gonna be duking it out, but yes, he does it for now. He will have the DRS, both of them I believe will have the DRS here open. Definitely open on the car number 14, heading into the NGK chicane. McLaren team gets past Viperian, but how much time he lost side by side into chicane? Oh my god! These two Germans, Grind on the inside, Psychedelics on the outside, and Psychedelics is through, back into the 5th place. Gunzi says, thank you very much, I'm gonna just leave now. But the battle between Germans is far from over. We have 13 minutes plus 1 lap. Did I tell you, or did I not tell you, that this is gonna be more physical than what you saw in race 1? Still side by side, Mr. Grinder on the inside, looking for a pass again. Will he be able to hang on to it? Yes, he does. And he goes through to P5 once again. This battle is far from over. The battle for 5th position is insane, but McLaren team is 25 seconds behind Foden Burst. Viperian is still locked in a battle between him and Neon Tiger. He's yet to pit, don't forget. And Foden Burst is our leader, who is still not visiting up the pit lane. 121.2 is the latest lap for Photon, who was sitting 121 flat, and on the previous lap he said 120.991, the fastest lap of a race. As a response for McLaren team pitting, this is hammer time for the Dutchman. Flying Dutchman, if you will. Let's see what McLaren team answers with as he gets onto the start-finish straight. As of now, 121.3, a slower lap from him. So this is gonna be very, very close at the pit exit. Photon might be first out, but he will have cold rubber. Mr. Grinder hangs on to the lead. He got the DRS for this lap, but it's all gonna change this time as Psychedelics is the one with DRS for the entirety of next lap. The battle is gonna heat up once again. Fodenberg is still on track, still not willing to go onto the pit lane. The battle continues. 11 minutes plus 1 lap left in this race. We have incredibly heated up battle for 5th place on track. Both Mr. Grind and Psychedelics decided that if they're gonna pass each other, they're gonna physically pass each other. No shenanigans with different pit tactics. With completely different race, we have Foden Burst versus McLaren team, 1st and 2nd, but a pit stop is between them, as Foden Burst is yet to go onto the pit lane. Putting up fast laps, lap after lap, after lap with McLaren team chasing him. Another lap from Tim. 121.2, not fast enough to beat the fast laps. And still, Fordon is going. Viperian is the next car on the pit lane. We're gonna switch to that as we had ourselves battles between him and Neon Tiger. We're gonna go to the outside cam as we're gonna see if Neon Tiger goes past him. We're gonna see this whole pit stop. Mr. Grind goes through, Psychedelics goes through. Let's see where Neon Tiger is. If he's gonna go by, you're gonna see him in this left-hand mirror. And that's not gonna happen. He lost time somewhere. And Viperian rejoins safely in 6th position as he this is turn 1 completely. Never mind that. We're trying to find the right angle. There it is. So Hyperion might be picking up a few extra points of Neon Tiger as we are going right back. McLaren team is closing the gap, and that's why our leader, Fordon Burst, on the pit lane. This is the story of the race right here. Fordon Burst on the pit lane. This is the battle for the win. There is his pit box. He's gonna be rejoining as fast as he can. Now we see McLaren team. There he is on the track, chasing. No DRS, but he has to go. He will have. See, there is the car of Fordon Burst right ahead. You see the small dot entering turn 1. There is his target. He lost some time, but Fordon will have cold tires. If Tim wants to go past, he needs to go now. There are 3 seconds in it. 121.6 from Gunses. He's in no man's land right now. Very safe. This is the battle for elite. We're gonna stay on it for a while unless something happens in the battle for 4th. But this is gonna be interesting. 1.8. McLaren team is gonna be closing the gap massively right here, right now. Very cold rubber on this car. The 28 entry of Fordon Burst 1.3 is gonna go closer and closer and closer. We're gonna switch for a second for a battle between Psychedelics and Mr. Grinders. They're very close in the Mercedes arena. We have 2 battles. I don't know what to spectate. Less than a second between 2 leaders. Less than a second in this battle. And 8 minutes to go. Fordon just prays that the heat, all the heat in the world, just transfers into this car as fast as possible as they are approaching the NGK chicane right here. 1 second in it. Fordon has new rubber, so he will try to accelerate away from Tim. We're gonna go on board with number 14 car of Psychedelics, the Audi, chasing the 4th position for Mr. Grinder. A second in it. This is gonna go all the way to the end, lads. 121.9, very bad lap from McLaren team, who's now finds himself a second back from a leader. If he wants the pass to happen, it's gonna happen on track. What happened to Gunses? Something happened to Gunses, we missed it entirely, and now he is right in front of this duo. Gunses continues to try and actively throw away his wins. He keeps his 3rd position for now, but the battle is on. It's now a 3-car battle for the podium. Holy mother of God, I am completely losing my voice right now, as we still have a big chunk of a race to go. Everybody's close together. We have a battle for the lead between 2 Mercedes drivers of Fordon Burst and McLaren team. We have a fight for podium between Gunses, Mr. Grinder, and Psychedelics. 3 different teams, 2 different makers, 3 drivers who want all the points. We're gonna go with in-car audio for Psychedelics for just a lap to see how it's gonna go. One from a 2-1 from Gunses, 122.7 from Psychedelics, and the one winning from this all is Mr. Grinder, is out of 122s and closing in on Gunses. Meanwhile, McLaren team set the fast lap of a race at 120.941, and Fordon Burst with instant answer on 120.904. Fordon answers with the fast lap on the fastest lap and maintains the gap at 1 second, 5 minutes to go. and we are still locked in the battle. Psychedelic slowly fades away. He needs to pick up the pace if he wants to stay in it. But now Mr. Grinder will have DRS assistance, and will he mount a challenge for the podium against Gunses? Gunses made another mistake, and we have no idea. We kind of missed that if he had an issue with loss of sliding, which would compromise his tires for the last couple of laps. Still 1 second between two leaders. I don't think any of the cars will be a lap issue for the leaders. So this is gonna be a ding-dong battle till the end. 120.95 for both leading drivers. They're setting the laps of their lives right here, and none of them are giving an inch to each other. They're both faster than everybody else on track, but they're just as fast as each other. The teammates are absolutely in it. McLaren team might be running out of patience, running out of DRS laps, and most importantly running out of time as we're under 5 minutes to go. He's trying to chase his teammate, but he is losing time. We saw a little bit of sliding the rear out of a turn as he tries to just drive this car a little bit too early. We are still in the battle. DRS, the letterbox wide open, but no mail in it to lick and sand. As we still have 1.4 in it between the leaders. Photonburst is driving the ever-living hell out of his Mercedes for the first win in his career in Phoenix World Championship. We're switching to P5 for Psychedelic. Still a second between him. 120.840. The fastest lap of a race weekend for Photonburst. He goes faster and faster and faster, and I believe his gamble with the late stop worked. His new tires just cannot be matched by McLaren team right now. What can be matched is the pace of our podium trio. Gunses, Mr. Grinder, Psychedelics. A second between each of them. Let's see if any of them have DRS left. And this is gonna go all the way to the end. 3 minutes left. 121.6, the fastest person left for Mr. Grinder. We're gonna go on board with him, as this is a very, very hot pursuit of the Latvian by the German. Gunses once again is in the title chase with Photon, who is now in the lead. Photon got 3 points for his pole position. Gunses was out of top 3. And now, for the race results, as it stands, that's another 8 points to Photon. That's 11 points in this race. That's enough to get to Gunses at the end. But if Grinder goes through, that's 4 more points. That's entirely more than Gunses can ever afford. Gunses needs to hang on to this 3rd place like his life depended on it, cause his podium life and 2nd place life in the championship might as well depend on it. 220 plus 1 lap. 121.1 from Photon. 2 more tenths gain. I believe that's the title. This battle for the lead might be over unless something happens, but the battle for the podium is just beginning between Mr. Grinder and Gunses. Psychedelics is lurking behind in case something happens between those two. Number 20 car, the BMW entry, is right behind. Letterbox wide open. Will he be able to try ascend into turn 1? He is looking, but not going just yet, I believe. Gunses is just far enough ahead, but he is right there. The move is definitely on. Less than half a second between those two. They're driving everything they can out of these cars. And let's see if that happens, if the pass happens. This is the battle for the podium, and this will affect the battle in the championship. This is race 16 out of 18 in the championship. This is very late, very deep in the title chase, and everything is on the line for these two drivers. Where they are heading into the Hockenheim. Are they safe? Are they not? Is there a gap? Nothing is decided just yet. Mr. Grinder was looking for a move into this exit of the chicane. Might not be the smartest place, but once again, no letterbox opening. Might be saving laps. Might have run out of them as they head to the NGK chicane. 120.620 for the McLaren team. What a lap! An absolutely stunning lap for Tim, and he might be back in the picture with that. What a shocking effort by him. But it's still more than a second between those two, so we are still All eyes on this battle. 122 flat for Gunses. He's slightly faster. 27 seconds left. So we have 2 more laps. Officially 2 more laps left in this weekend. In this stunning race 16 of the championship. Still everything to play for. 120.620 is the fastest lap of a race by McLaren Tim. 2/10 slower than the qualifying effort even. His laps are not new by any stretch of imagination. More than half a race on this compound for him. So he is driving everything he can. He might be losing a little bit of time, but they're still too close for comfort for each other. What is definitely close for comfort is the gap between those two. This is the battle for podium. Mr. Grinder versus Gunses. 2 more laps to go. This and another one. Does number 20 car have anything left in the tank to try and get the position? We have no idea, but this is still incredibly close. We're gonna be switching to this duo. 28 and 71, 2 leaders, 2 Mercedes, Ford and Burst and McLaren Tim. Still very close in DRS range, but 1 more lap to go, and I believe Tim might be just a little bit too far away to get any kind of positional gains out of this. 1 more lap to go. We're still locked in 2 battles. This is the battle for the lead between Ford and Burst and McLaren Team. 2 teammates in Timberwolves Racing. The team that won the Teams Championship and the constructor that ran away with Constructors Championship. Locked in a battle here. We still have the battle between those two. 2 BMWs fighting and scrapping for the podium. Mr. Grinder and Gunses. Gunses turn it up a notch here, but still plenty of time to make a mistake. We're gonna switch to our leader. Number 28, Burst, the Dutch driver, is 2 corners away from his first win in the championship after brilliant race through and through as he rounds up the final turn, and he is taking the checkered flag in Nürburgring for his first career victory in Phoenix World Championship. What a race from him. Brilliant, and that is the most important in the battle with this man, the Latvian. Gunses Ralph Malibu helmet, 000 entry of Gunses, who is gonna finish 3rd and who is now just a few points ahead of Ford and Burst in the championship. Ran out a final turn to claim P3 in a difficult battle with Mr. Grinder, who finishes 4th, just surviving a few attacks from Psychedelics, who is settling for 5th. Brilliant race for everybody involved in it. There is no moment where nothing was happening on the track. Brilliant. Viperian in 6th position, new team, new car, and 6th result, beaten Neon Tiger, who he is fighting the championship with, so it's still a few points towards the Kiwi, which might prove vital in the end, and the final car to cross the finish line is gonna be Neon Tiger. We can forget for the American, but he crossed the finish line on the lead lap and still hangs on to where he is currently towards the championship here. Ford and Burst, what a drive for the lad. He is our winner tonight. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And we're gonna waste no time and try to get him here on voice. As Fordon Burst is gonna do some donuts for us, is he? Hello Fordon, do you hear us here in the commentary booth? We can hear the wheel struggling, so definitely some bonus donuts for us here in the broadcast booth. Wow, what a race. I did not want to wait any further than I had to get you here in the broadcast booth. What a performance. Fantastic, brilliant and flawless. Congratulations with your first career win in a Phoenix World Championship.
So I struggled a lot with the tires, and at some point my wheel even dislodged because I pulled on it too hard. So I couldn't really do much then. But I think what really helped this race was that I actually nailed my qualifying, and I actually managed to end up before Tim so I could hold him up a little, and preserve the tires, do an overcut, and basically have much better tires at the end. I think that's what saved me because Tim was really struggling, I saw. So,
I
yeah,
got into
it's like-
it even right here. So actually, after you got yourself a 1.5 second gap, your fastest lap was 1:20.840, which is faster than your previous race. But right at the end, McLaren team actually stole the fast lap from you. And do you want to guess his time?
I mean, I saw it. I was keeping eyes on it because I didn't want the gap to be too small.
1:20.620. So he was all over that loud pedal, and you still managed to maintain that gap right till the very end. So there was no corner given. I was talking early on about maybe some team orders and him letting you through, but he didn't give you an inch, did he?
No, he didn't. Like, we did discuss that actually. Because there was a lot of talk about like, Timberwolves are just going to do some team orders and give Foden some more points. But we actually talked about it, and we were we were kind of sharing the opinion of like, well, if we're going to do team orders, like, what's the value of a win? Like, you're going to look back at your championships, like, oh yeah, I mean, if I eventually get P2, I got P2 because Tim let me through and just let me have some points. So we both kind of felt like, that's not really how you want to win and how you want to gain points. So if we're going to actually, like, if I want to get points, I will actually have to do it on merit and on speed. And yeah, I'm really pleased that it actually paid off this time.
It was definitely on merit, brilliant drive, and even more important with this being race number 16 out of 18, and that means, well, with Gunses missing top 3 in the qualifying, so he lost 3 points to you here and finishing third. He lost 11 more points in this race. That means the gap is fantastically close as we are heading to our last weekend. How do you feel about your chances of a second place finish overall?
I mean, so I believe I haven't thought about it that much, but I believe the gap is like 24 points or something, which is quite reasonable still. And I think the only reason why I'm in it still is because Guns has really messed up his first race. So I'm not really sure. I don't know if Hockenheim is my best track, and it's still 24 points. Like, you can drop some places and still get it. But I mean, I've been practicing a lot for the previous round, for this round as well, and I don't think the next round will be a lot different. So I'll just be trying as ever, and hopefully I can get sort of on the level that I'm at with the previous 2 races, because that would be really cool. And if I manage to snatch that P2, it's going to be really, really cool to get.
Yeah, well, this is definitely gonna be yet another angle to cover in the last weekend, and definitely gonna be a very, very interesting battle between you two, and hopefully with a very, very close end for us on the broadcast. But good luck to you in the last race, and congratulations with a very well-deserved victory today.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Alright, let's grab our race number 1 winner. Hello, Tim, do you hear us?
Hey, Georgian.
Well, an interesting weekend for you. Win in race 1, but in a race 2, tried your best. Absolutely tried your best to chase your teammate, but still lost. How did you see this weekend from your point of view?
I mean, yeah, Photon was just quicker than all of us today. For me, I feel like I did most things correct. It's just that a lot of mistakes, when you make them, you just sort of give up opportunities. I mean, I can come up with all sorts of racing driver excuses like, oh, the weather was warmer in the first race, so my tires were working, and then in the second race, my tire pressures were too low, etc., etc. And then, I think I tried to go for the undercut in race 2, and then, yeah, I think I had a bunch of mistakes on those laps where I was supposed to be putting in hammer time. But, yeah, in the end, I think, congrats to Photon. He was generally so much faster. And, like, we were, doing our usual thing, like recording each other's laps and things and sharing setups. but I was just seeing just straight away, even since like Thursday, he was getting everything pretty much perfectly. And so, yeah, big congrats to him.
Congrats to both of you. Obviously, you have secured, well, you personally have secured both titles already before this weekend. And you open up the gap even bigger to your competitors in the Teams Championship. I believe Photon was superior in Drivers Championship in this round. But what are your personal goals heading towards the final weekend of the season at Hockenheim?
Well, I just remember all the fantastic battles going on in the first Hockenheim race. So I can only hope that there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of battling that'll happen, and that's what I'll try to be there for. Of course, I'll be trying my best too. So, yeah, hopefully, exciting things will happen.
Well, we hope so too here in the broadcast booth. As the more action we have, the less we can shut up. Well, congratulations with the win on race 1, and a great weekend for the team, and good luck to you in the final weekend.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan.
Alright, let's grab the, I guess, unfortunate victim of this weekend. Hello, Gunther, do you hear us?
Hello.
So, not the greatest weekend for you in terms of championship battle, is it?
No. I had quite a lot of trouble handling the car in this track, though I would almost say it has been happening since the past 3 rounds now. So I got where I wanted in race 2, but race 1 was a little bit of a mess.
Definitely some sort of a bad streak going for you. We got what happened in race 1, but I believe we did not catch on camera what happened to you in race 2, because we were focused on the battle behind you, which all of a sudden became a 3-way battle. Care to share?
In race 2, same thing happened as in race 1. I got the outside curb out of the chicane and I went into the grass. Fortunately, this time it wasn't a big over crash. I could recover quite well and I could keep Grinder behind myself.
Well, now I believe between you, it's definitely less than 30 points. It's about 25-point gap between you and Bolton with 2 races to go. Would you say you're more confident in your skill at the Hockenheim Ring, where the last weekend will be, compared to, well, Nürburgring and I guess the last few weekends, as you've been losing points?
Well, if I would look at the past Hockenheim round 1, I would say that was one of my worst results. Since I had I had mistakes there as well. But I think there is no reason not to go in there confidently. I think we're around 25 points, and I think I can manage to keep my second place, even if Timberwolves decide to do some interesting tactics.
Well, we discussed the possibility of team tactics earlier in the interviews. So we'll see what happens, and good luck to you. And hopefully, we're gonna be here to spectate a fantastic battle for the second in the championship in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I hope we'll bring a good show.
Alright, and we have actually one more person in voice today, and let's see if he is willing to talk to us. Hello there.
Hello.
This is the driver car number 14, Psychedelics, here with us, bringing us the show in both races, and a very, very close and interesting 3-way battle in race 2, including a pass on the pit road here. Shares your perspective of that battle with Grinder, please.
Well, it was obviously very intense, and I did some last-minute changes to the setup before the race to gain a bit of top speed, because in race 1 I saw it was lacking on that end. In race 1 I couldn't even get past Grinder with DRS open, so that change was an obvious one for me. And it kind of worked out, because I got at least side by side with him a few times. Couldn't stay ahead of him.
Yeah, it was a very interesting cold tire battle, as both of you left left the pit lane and suddenly Gunsis appeared in front of you. I guess that also helped Grinder a little bit, as he had DRS for most of that battle. I believe both of you ran out closer to the end.
Yeah, I ran out with like 6 or 7 minutes to go, and it's when the gap started increasing and I couldn't keep up.
I definitely noticed that. But, well, interesting races today, and the from a championship... English, easy. From a championship perspective, with 2 races to go, basically everybody not named Timberwolves Racing or Gunsis are locked in the battle amongst themselves. That'd be Neon Tiger, Mr. Grind, you, and Viperian locked in a battle for maybe even 4th position in the championship, with Shark and Maestro not present. So this definitely played into your hands somewhat, because you had a little bit of a gap with Grinder. But with last 2 races to go, how confident are you in getting all the way maybe to 4th and 5th in the championship?
The sad thing is that I won't be here for Hockenheim, as it stands now.
Oh,
so it's basically over, unless my work schedule changes.
So much for that. But, well, on that note, I guess congratulations with the weekend and the championship. And, well, hopefully show up. If not, definitely great effort all the way through. And we'll see what happens in the last race and in the championship.
No, we will, I think.
Definitely still lots of battles that are unresolved. And, well, maybe you'll be a part of one of them. Looks at your work sternly.
It's a shame because it's a night shift, so no chance for even making one race.
Oh well. Well, congratulations with this weekend. Definitely lots of close battles and lots of pace.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, right, and on this note, I believe this is time for us to end this weekend at Nürburgring. Thank you very much for staying with us for as long as you did. Once again, we're doing this with collaboration of Direct Relief for our Phoenix World Championship Direct Relief campaign, which is gonna last all the way until the end of a championship, which is gonna be September 29th. Mark your calendars, 2 more races at Hockenheim, which will decide the final standings. Do not miss it. This is gonna be interesting. Until then, thank you all so much for watching, and on behalf of Backmarkers Racing broadcasting crew and Phoenix World Championship, this is goodbye.